made this new thing for my van and you gotta check it out because it's freaking sweet. So lately I've been thinking of different camera angles and shots that I like could be getting. So I'm coming up with like all these different camera mounts and stuff, and I made this one. And so this is it. Mounts there, mounts here, oh sorry for the finger, mounts there, piece of aluminum, got my little bracket here, this thing will slide, you know, further on down. So if I want to get like a certain shot of something, you know, let this thing turn on, I can get a shot of me driving, and it has this little adjuster knob to where this can move. I can turn, and if I want to get like a super good shot, I can pan, I can loosen this, and this thing can pan around. So I'm going to show you guys how this thing's made. There's a little bunny out there. So this van, let me tell you about this van. This van had AC. You can clearly see that it was mounted on the roof, and there was a bracket here, there was a bracket there, and in the back it kind of like went up, and there's also brackets there on that side and on that side that have little M6 inserts for a 6mm thread that originally held up the whole unit, and I still have found something to use for them. So, but there's these other two. There's that and that one. Originally there is a little bracket, like a mount, you can kind of see the square like outline, and it holds each side, and so yeah, it just holds them up basically. Easy. There were screws that held it up, just kind of sheet metal screws, and which I'm kind of nervous about, but you know. So I got these pieces of, let me go back. I want something that's able to hold a camera. I've been thinking about like different shots, different like scenes, different views, angles, and I was thinking of a way to mount my camera up with them brackets, them holes, something to mount a camera, because every once in a while I'm driving and I want to get a certain shot and I can't. So I needed to make brackets for this, for these AC holes things. So anyway, I started with these chunks of aluminum. They're 50mm wide, and I got my holes, which are 20 centimeters apart exactly. So I have that there, and I need some way to mount that to this, which is what I used to mount my camera to. And I use this because there are these little T-nuts, and they fit in there. Actually, it's getting all caught up. So they fit in here and they slide, so you can mount something to them and it moves. So it'll move all the way across this track, which is bolted here into that one also. So I counterbored these, drilled a hole through it, and I made holes in the center of these. Well, these holes are countersunk and they're threaded, which you can't see that because my camera's not focusing. But anyway, they're threaded in there. So basically this, you can screw, oh man, this mosquito. So you can thread this into there and it holds it So it holds these in place, and they can't come out and they can't turn mainly. And this is flat. So with this being flat, this will mount on there with them studs sticking out. Well, the studs are big enough, wide enough to fit in there, and the counter bores are big enough that a socket, you know, you can get the socket in there, you can get the nuts to hold the stud, and it mounts up. So I made 2 of these, and there's a mosquito. I am getting eaten alive out here, and it's hot. So I made these, I made 2 of them, and oh yeah, I countersunk these just to kind of dress it up a little bit. These are the original screws, and this is too thick. Well, anyways, it's too thick for the thread to get out whatever the other side, so I countersunk that a little bit and got that to go down in there. So more thread engagement would happen with these really cheap sheet metal screws. So this is all good. And it was kind of a pain because I had to measure exactly the distance between this one and this one. Because if that measurement was a little bit off, a little bit one way or the other, between that bracket and that bracket, it was not gonna fit. So I had to precisely measure that, and came out good. So I made 2 of these brackets. Not super complicated. Put a 15mm radius on all these corners, and I routered the top sides of these just so they weren't sharp, and I sandblasted them because I figured it would I keep dropping that screw. So it would match that gray interior. So yeah, I think I did all right. I'm gonna put this up real quick so I can show everybody the rest of this, I guess. So I got this. It is a ball head mount per gear, I guess, and 8 kilograms. Hold on, I wish this thing would focus. 8 kilograms, 3/8 bolt, and a 1/4 20, and this thing's sweet. It was like $17 online, and there was a bunch of good reviews saying that it was like heavy duty and held up to like their heavier cameras, and it was cheap, so I bought it. And this is it. This little guy has a 3/8 16 thread and has all these little adjusters. This one you loosen and it pans. This moves, and you loosen up that one, and it rotates. It's just like it's hard to do with one hand, but it moves. And also, this little bracket comes out, and that is what attaches to the bottom of the camera I am using right now. So, and it also came with this little screw deal, and this screw was not quite long enough. So the screw popped out of this, and well, this is threaded on one side. So, all right, so this is threaded on one side, which is that side, but it's smaller in the center and allows it to move. But this is not long enough to reach a T-nut. So I had to make a longer one. So I got this little button head, and I put it on the lathe, and I machined off. I wish I could hold this still. I machined off that part right there, up closer to the head, and left the threads on. So when this is in there, it is deep enough to get into the threads, and it just works. So I had to make this little custom screw to get it to even catch on the T-nut. So that was one thing I had to do. And another thing I had to do was make this bracket right here. Well, I guess it's a bracket, yeah. It's made out of Delrin. And let's see. These holes for the bolts, and these are 10 centimeters apart, 3/8 hole in the center, and this countersunk, so it's flat, so the flat part goes up against that, and them holes are for the T-nuts that slide. So this can bolt on there and slide, and also this can, well, with this bolt, which threads into the bottom of that, that's there, it's flat, it's recessed just a little bit, and it's so it doesn't scratch up that, and it's not steel against aluminum and just killing it. So that threads on there and screws down. So then we got a flat mounting surface, and this is like that. Okay, so there's a bolt going through into this, into that flathead I was just talking about, and these go into the T-nuts, so this thing moves. And it also moves this, hold on, let me loosen this. It also moves this way. It's kind of tough when you tighten that bolt up. When you tighten up that bolt, the pan, it kind of gets a little tougher to move, but whatever. So that tightens that up, and I got this ball head that moves around wherever. So I'm doing pretty good here. I got this like almost working, and I think it looks pretty good so far. So now I need something to hold my camera that bolts to this. Actually, that bolts to this. That goes in that little guide thing. I'm upside down. I'm dropping stuff again. So this is really hard to do with one hand because the camera's holding the other one, and I'm not used to doing this. So I need something to hold my camera, and I'm gonna build that really quick. Actually, I'll show you. So I got this piece of little 80/20, and I tapped both ends. So I got another piece drilled, counterboard, screw, goes in, recesses into that, threads into this, like so, screws in, and I got another piece, same deal, screws in, and I got another hole at the bottom of the camera. Camera's right here, screws into the camera. This goes on this screw, which is where this T-nut, and the T-nut on the back of that. There's a little rubber thing on the T-nut to keep it from sliding back and forth. So that just fits into that slot. And then there you go. There's your mount. That mounts to this. And it slides in. And then there's this over here that tightens that up, and then it's solid. And now you got a, hold on, let me go out here because this lens isn't wide enough. But now you got this mount that the camera can slide, and it also can be mounted right here from that screw hole. You know, and it pokes up just a little bit. Camera mounts in here, and you can move this all around, and you can get whatever shot or angle you want, and it's fully adjustable, which is awesome. So I think I like am gonna really like this setup. It's super simple, and I'm gonna get, see how there's little wheels on, like hand knobs, like kind of on here. I think for that screw right there, I don't know if you can see this, but that screw right there, actually them 4 screws, I'm gonna get like a little like twist knob. There's a little milled out section right there that you can like move this thing all the way up, and it fits into that spot, and this thing goes like level. So I might, when I store this, just store it like that. I don't know if my head's gonna still whack that, but that's pretty low profile. Or I can just push this down, undo this knob, and this will slide out. And then I gotta store this somewhere, and I got that, but I don't know. I'm sure I'll figure it out when I use it. But I think that's it for this video, and yeah, there's gonna be a lot more van crap to come. So yeah, I'll see ya.